Dark Myth WuKong, Chapter 12. Erlang Shen. This wasn't even the most serious situation. The most serious was that Zhenyuan Zi had fallen unconscious. I wonder if anyone noticed. But since Tang Sanzang achieved apotheosis, Zhenyuan Zi hadn't made any move. Don't think for a moment that he was afraid. While the demons were trapping the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel, Zhenyuan Zi appeared, his position right behind the Supreme Lord Lao Tzu. Though Lao Tzu immediately sensed him, it was too late. The 8 trigrams fire was entangled by the salvation flower petals and couldn't return to protect its master. Furthermore, 6 salvation heavenly demons, disregarding their lives, rushed in to embrace Lao Tzu with their bodies and hands. Thus, Lao Tzu could only watch as Zhenyuan Zi's left hand, transformed into the root of the ginseng fruit tree, ruthlessly pierced Lao Tzu's back. Then, something terrifying happened to Lao Tzu. That left hand, now a root, slowly penetrated Lao Tzu's skin from behind, gradually corroding towards his heart. The speed wasn't fast, but it was unstoppable. You must understand, although Lao Tzu wasn't a sage known for combat, he was still a sage who had achieved sagehood for tens of thousands of years. Moreover, he was the patriarch of alchemy and medicine, his body tempered day and night by countless heavenly treasures. The strength of his physical body was comparable to the ancient water god Gong. Yet, this root couldn't be stopped. At this critical moment, Lao Tzu made a ruthless decision. A person who could self-destruct their natal magic treasure. How terrifying would they be when they ruthlessly abandoned their life? Only Zhenyuan Zi knew the answer. To outsiders, everything seemed to be going smoothly. Zhenyuan Great Immortal's ginseng fruit root had corroded a large portion, and it seemed the Supreme Lord Lao Tzu was about to meet his end. However, at this moment, Zhenyuan Great Immortal let out a scream, his empty right hand transforming into a blade. He swung it down. His left arm was severed at the shoulder, and even at the point of severance, traces of burning flames remained. Then, Zhenyuan Zi fell from the sky. The remaining people thought this attack was over, but no one expected the Bull Demon King, who had been in a daze since the Macaque King's death, to erupt. The Chaos Iron Rod was nowhere to be seen. Instead, the Bull Demon King wielded his own bullhorn. The bullhorn was as black as ink, as if it would engulf time and space itself. The already heavily injured Supreme Lord Lao Tzu couldn't evade this attack. The black bullhorn fiercely pierced the Supreme Lord Lao Tzu's heart. At this moment, another anomaly occurred. An incandescent liquid, too bright to look at, flowed out from Lao Tzu's heart. In an instant, the black bullhorn was completely covered by this liquid. The Bull Demon King, quick-witted, released his grip at the last moment, and thankfully, the liquid didn't touch his hand. However, the bullhorn was ruined. It was at this moment that the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel broke free from the formation. So the first thing he saw was the Supreme Lord Lao Tzu with a huge bullhorn piercing his chest. Then, everyone felt an earth-shattering tremor, and terrifying black cracks spread from the space where the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel was. Those with keen eyes knew that the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel had detonated the immortal slaughtering sword formation, causing space to collapse. At this moment, the Bodhi Ancestor, who had been silent from the beginning, finally displayed his power, a power infinitely close to that of a sage. To save the dying Supreme Lord Lao Tzu, the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel detonated the immortal slaughtering sword formation, destroying more than half of the space on the 22nd heaven. This terrifying spatial power made everyone feel that disaster was imminent. However, these rapidly spreading spatial cracks were forcibly contained by one person. Moreover, using supreme divine powers, he caused the space to close at a speed visible to the naked eye. This person was none other than the Bodhi Ancestor, who had been keeping a low profile. It turned out that the Bodhi Ancestor hadn't participated in the attacks from the beginning. He was preparing to use his immense magic power to suppress the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel's self-destruction of his magic treasure at a crucial moment. Although he wasn't sure how the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel would react, he couldn't be unprepared. If the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel went all out and self-destructed his magic treasure, and they weren't ready, the consequences would be dire. The power of the self-destructing immortal slaughtering sword formation, though great, only bought the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel enough time to fly to Lao Tzu's side and summon all his protective magic treasures. Just as the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel finished his preparations, the demon leaders attacked again. Everyone was injured, but despite the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel's relatively light injuries, they all charged forward. At this point, almost everyone was exhausted, except for two. One was Erlang Shen, who had been previously repelled by the great sages, and the other was the six-eared macaque, who came to assist Sun WuKong. Although the six-eared macaque almost grabbed his staff to avenge the macaque king, he restrained himself. Because Sun WuKong's instructions before leaving were for him to watch Erlang Shen, he absolutely couldn't let Erlang Shen escape and return to the Celestial Palace to help the Jade Emperor. Therefore, only these two still retained most of their magic power. In the battle on the 22nd heaven, no one from the heavenly court died. The Lord of the Heavenly Citadel suffered minor injuries and lost 3 magic treasures. The Supreme Lord Lao Tzu was heavily injured and collapsed, losing his natal magic treasure, the 8 trigrams furnace, and the 8 trigrams fire within. From the demon side, the macaque king died. The bull demon king and Zhenyuan Zi suffered severe injuries and collapsed from Lao Tzu's blood poison. Tang Zansang, the golden-winged great peng, the rock demon king, the white elephant of Lion Camel Ridge, the flood demon king, the lion demon king, and the azure lion were heavily injured. The white bone demon, the yellow wind demon, the rhino demon, and the 100-eyed demon lord exhausted their magic power. All the remaining elite demons died. None survived. At this moment, the thoughts of the two sides were completely different. Because of Lao Tzu's injuries, the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel had no intention of fighting. He only wanted to return quickly to save the Supreme Lord Lao Tzu. As for the others, he could eliminate them at any time. However, the demon side still had a high morale and intended to join forces to stop the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel again. If they could delay him, the Supreme Lord Lao Tzu might even die. Therefore, the situation became delicate. The Lord of the Heavenly Citadel couldn't let the demons see his intention to retreat, or they would launch a desperate attack. But the demons also couldn't let the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel realize their intention to risk everything to keep him there. Otherwise, he might flee with all his strength. A sage who had attained enlightenment for a long time, if he wanted to escape with the demon's current fighting power, no one thought they could stop him. It seemed they were about to reach another stalemate. The answer was no, because Erlang Shen finally made his move. And he went all out from the start, his target being the heavily injured bull demon king. The 6-eared macaque also attacked immediately. However, he was still a step too late. When Erlang Shen's 3-pointed double-edged lance pierced the bull demon king's chest, the 6-eared macaque's Ruyi Jingu Bang barely managed to block Erlang Shen's spear. Fortunately, thanks to the 6-eared macaque's intervention, the bull demon king's life was saved. This time, it enraged all the demons. They all turned to glare at Erlang Shen, and at this moment, the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel finally found a chance. He transformed into a beam of light and fled. This time, everyone was furious. The attacks they had prepared for the Lord of the Heavenly Citadel were all unleashed on Erlang Shen. Although Erlang Shen was valiant, he was entangled by the 6-eared macaque and couldn't escape. In the end, he forcefully endured all the attacks. However, just when everyone thought Erlang Shen would be reduced to ashes, An unexpected situation occurred. Someone did die, and they died permanently. But this person wasn't Erlang Shen. It was his celestial hound. In the final moment, the celestial hound shielded its master, blocking all the attacks. Saying this, everyone fell silent. Erlang Shen said nothing, only gently embracing the celestial hound's corpse, standing motionless, seemingly waiting for death. It was Tang Sanzang who spoke again. Erlang Shen, go. There were no extra words, but everyone understood the meaning. Erlang Shen hesitated for a moment, then cupped his fist. His eyes filled with guilt and self-blame. He turned and slowly walked away. This battle finally ended. The Lord of the Heavenly Citadel fled with the dying Lao Tzu. The remaining people sat down to heal their injuries. Tang Zanzhelm held the dim salvation flower and looked towards the celestial palace. In less than a quarter of an hour, the people there split into two groups. One group, with lighter injuries, immediately rushed to the celestial palace to assist Sun WuKong. The other group, carrying the severely injured, returned to Flower Fruit Mountain to heal. At this moment, something astonishing was happening in the celestial palace.